Okay, and we're live. So, welcome to another episode of Cyberbytes the Podcast. Today, it's my pleasure to be joined by Ashish, who is the co-founder and CPO over at Andromeda. Great to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing well, Stefan. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Really excited.
You're welcome. Where are you based in the world at the moment?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley in
In the
California.
heart of it. Lovely. Well, the way I love to start these podcasts, Ashish, is can you give the audience an introduction to who you are and also the problem that Andromeda solves?
Absolutely. So I'm Ashish Shah, as Stefan, you said, co-founder and chief product officer. Um, I have background. My experience has been in enterprise, cloud, data center, networking, across the board. And the problem we're trying to solve at Andromeda is that of identity security. Identity, as you may know, is one of the primary attack vectors for a cloud, SaaS, and even on-premises environment today. In general, it's become the primary way attackers are getting access to your sensitive data, adding ransomware, etc. And frankly, it's not if, it's when your identity will get compromised, both human identities and non-human machine identities. I think the problem is equal. And the problem we're trying to solve is that even if your identity is compromised, can you prevent or at least mitigate the blast radius? And that's driven by the types of permissions you have. So we're trying to get to true zero trust for identity, least privilege for identities, but doing in such a way that does not impact your productivity, your agility of your business. And so, as part of that, in addition to solving the security, we are also trying to solve for business agility, for overall identity and access management uh, environments, whether it's onboarding, getting privilege access, or compliance issues, really solving both the security challenges and the operational challenges of identity, human and non-human. So that's
Very cool.
Andromeda.
Very cool. And we'll discuss Andromeda much more as well. Yeah, and just to rewind slightly, so Ashish, how did you fall into the cyber world?
Sure, that's a great question. So most of the founding team for Andromeda came from a company called Avi Networks, which builds software load balancers, web application firewall, and so on. Avi was acquired by VMware in 2019, and we stayed there for a few years. And as we were trying to find the next set of hard problems to solve, we noticed that even at our experience at Avi with our customers, that identity, access management, especially permissions and lifecycle management of identities, was a big problem for our customers. And when we saw the market after Avi, we saw that not only there are fragmented vendors trying to solve isolated parts of identity, they're not doing a good job of it. There were some of them are just trying to repurpose on-prem solutions to cloud and SaaS, but the problems are very different. Some of them are focusing on very siloed items, just NHI or just least privilege, just privilege access management, and so on. We thought of this as very differently. We see identity as a data problem with lots of siloed places where there is context and data, and really want to build a platform like we've done in the past to solve this complex, hairy problem, uh, both from security point of view and operations, business agility point of view. So that's how
Yeah.
we got into the next hard problem, which is identity.
Yeah. You mentioned there, you say identity is a data problem, which is interesting. Why is this?
Great question. So when I say it's a data problem, what I mean is that the information about identity, the data, the context, the configurations, the behavior information, etc., are in different places. Some of it is in your IDPs, some of it's in your SaaS applications, some of it's in your cloud providers, the activity logs, and some of this in maybe in your CMDBs and so on. They are so fragmented that um, you need to do first, you need to bring them into a single data lake. And the reason that's important is because if you want to solve this problem effectively, you need to include all aspects, all elements of identity. And that's why we consider it's a data problem, that you need to put all the identity data together in one place and then run your models on top of it, analysis, context, behavioral models, and then you can solve individual aspects of the specific challenges around security, around operationalization, around access management, and so on, rather than taking siloed aspects of a problem, let's say just IGA or just privilege access management
Mm.
or just visibility. Um, I think that's an ineffective approach for multiple reasons. And so that's how we think it's a data problem in the sense that you bring different aspects of identity data into a single data lake and
Mhm.
then build upon that.
That makes sense. And with Andromeda then, so how long have you guys been running essentially now?
So we've been around just under 2 years. We started in the Q1 of 2023, and yeah, we've been shipping the product and having great customer traction.
I love it. Yeah, and what would you say the biggest learning in that time over the last 2 years? Or two questions here actually. Biggest learning, and it maybe ties in, but what surprised you the most in the last 2 years as well?
Right. So I think they are both related questions. So I think the biggest learning for us is that the maturity of identity security in the organization varies a lot. There are customers who are on the early stages of identity security maturity, especially for cloud or SaaS, right? Because if you step back and say identity has been an IT problem, IT initiative traditionally on premises for the most part. But you have IDPs, your employees onboarding, joiner, mover, leaver, the compliance issues. And some of the compliance part was under risk and governance, but it's never really a core security. That has changed dramatically over the last few years, especially as go to cloud and SaaS because it's become the perimeter, right? So we've seen organizationally, depending on the maturity of the customers, it has moved under the CISO umbrella quite a bit. Customers are paying first class attention to identity being an attack vector, given the data that two-thirds to three-fourths of the attacks are identity related. And the proliferation of non-human identities or NHIs has brought that apart into the forefront for CISOs. So I think uh, how identity has changed over the last few years. And as a result, different customers are in a different journey, different maturity curve. And so there are customers who are in the early phases of identity security journey. Well, I don't have visibility into how many NHIs exist or how many identities, human and non-human, have access to what kind of applications. To well, how do I prioritize my risk? Which are my high risk identities? Which are low risk? What should I focus on? I can't boil the ocean. It's a big problem. To as they're more mature, once you have discovery and risk assessment, we'll say, okay, how do I get to least privilege? What does least privilege mean for me? Is it just use permissions? How do I bring in risk into least privilege? What does that mean for my zero trust journey? And then some of the most mature customers are, um, I want to implement just-in-time privilege access. The traditional PAM is dead for cloud and SaaS. There are no root accounts or admin accounts. It's elevated access. Just-in-time is the new cloud PAM. How do I do that? And do that without impacting the agility of my developers.
Mhm.
So I think those are the most mature of the customers in the journey. And then similarly on the compliance side, things have changed where most of the compliance user access reviews have been all rubber stamps on premises, right? Now, in cloud, you can't do that because there is a security angle to that as well. It's not just about compliance. If I give extra access to somebody who doesn't need it, well, you're gonna have a large attack surface. So how do I simplify and automate my compliance processes based on usage and risk and so on? So again, that's been the biggest learning, which is how diverse the customer community is in their maturity for identity security and how things have changed over the last few years.
Yeah, the from what I've seen on the recruitment side anyway, like non-human identities is just it seems to be talked about every day in the space. So that, as you say, the attack vector is changing constantly, as you
Right.
described.
Mm.
Um, and Andromeda then. So two parts question here. What are you guys building? You've touched on bits here, but what truly makes you unique and different from some of the other players in the space? Because there's a lot of vendors I've seen um, moving into that identity or setting up in identity.
Yeah, naturally, right? Because it's a big attack vector, big problem. So there are a lot of vendors. But what sets us apart and how we fundamentally look at this problem? We talked about it a little bit, right? We think of it as a data problem. So what we are doing and what this engineering team, this we have done in the past over the last 10, 15 years across different organizations is taking a platform-centric approach. And the reason for that is that allows us to bring in different elements, different aspects of identity data into a single data lake, the graph-based data lake, and we bring in all the configuration, behavior, privilege information. Once that's centralized, then we run our machine learning models on top of it, risk models, behavioral models, anomaly detection, peer behavior, usage analysis, and so on. And out comes the different aspects of use cases. So instead of building individual siloed products, uh, those elements or use cases are outcomes of our platform and the models that we run on it. So that's fundamentally different than most other vendors. And so, what truly differentiates us, frankly, is also three things. At the top, the uh, having these context data, the behavior, the dynamic risk and context, everything is quantified, by the way, everything is a risk score associated with that, that
Mhm.
allows us to do automated, intelligent decision making. Because one of the biggest issues, especially in cloud and SaaS environments, is that manual workflows not only impact your agility and productivity, it actually defeats the purpose of security many times because the users are what rubber stamp things anyways because they have no context, right? So that defeats the purpose of security while adding friction. So intelligent, automated decision making based on dynamic risk and behavior is the true differentiator for us. And we can do that because we have all the data in a single place.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that differentiates us is that uh, we think that you cannot solve problems in silos for a few reasons. One is like there are vendors focusing just on NHI. Well, NHI's risk and life cycles are very tightly coupled to human risks and life cycles. For example, if I leave the organization, all the NHIs that I'm managing or I was managing and own have to be the deleted if they're no longer in use or rekeyed and reassigned because otherwise I have access to those NHIs. There is no single sign-on and MFA for NHIs, right? So the risks and life cycles are intertwined. So you can't do them in silos. But also getting risk assessment and building those models as part of the platform allows you to make those intelligent decisions. Like, for example, we do just-in-time access approvals, dynamic based on dynamic risk and context, not just static rules or manual approvals, right? That again, security and agility. So you have to do them together. And
Mhm.
and frankly, it's also about just operationalization. The CISOs are complaining about the proliferation of so many tools. Like identity shouldn't have so many tools. Yes, you have IDPs, authentications, MFAs, etc. You need that, not touching that. But everything around permissions management, role right sizing, lifecycle management of human and non-human, join, move, leave, the traditional IGA capabilities, the privilege access capabilities, you should not need separate tools.
Mhm.
And so that's the other thing that differentiates us is because what we're building is that end-to-end platform, and that doesn't mean customers have to buy a full platform. It's not all or nothing, right? We think of this as use cases. So customer says, "I want to solve this problem." Yes, go ahead, use that part of the problem. And once you operationalize that, well, how about that? Well, we have that as well. So you can solve individual use cases with a single platform, but it's not about buying just a whole platform, all or nothing. So those are the few things, a few ways we differentiate ourselves from the fragmented, siloed vendors or workflow-only vendors, um, where we bring in the risk and context and behavior-based automation.
Yeah, very cool. And it's a big topic, isn't it, in cyber? Best of breed, best of suite. And like I hear mixed things, but it's very interesting what you guys are doing, and it makes a lot of sense, right? To have that unified platform approach where there's no fragmentation of tools, etc. Just that whole efficiency piece, right? It makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense.
Yep, yep.
Um, Looking at the future, so I'd love to know a couple of things here. So the space has evolved massively, as you said, in the last couple of years. And that's definitely been a learn for you guys. From the conversations that you're having and from the data that you see, how do you see the next, maybe define it how you will, a year to 2 years playing out in the space? What sort of patterns or are you seeing that are going to evolve?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question, Stefan. So I think, as I said earlier, right, different customers are in the different phases of the journey. So we hope that that journey matures more customers move up that journey. from just visibility and risk assessments to enforcing least privilege to doing dynamic JIT, context-based automated JIT, and to modernizing your IGA. So I think we'll see more and more customers moving up that journey. We'll see new patterns emerge in terms of risks and so on because cyber is never static. And then AI is all cool right now, right? And there are two aspects to AI. I mean, one is using AI in the product to make intelligent automated decision, and we do that a lot of that in our product because we have the data. Remember, AI requires data, and that's why we have a platform. But we also see AI agents, especially agentic AI, posing interesting identity-related challenges. Now, uh, I expect there to be a debate where, well, is agentic AI more like an NHI or more like a human identity? So let's step back, right? Agentic AI is going to work on a behalf of a human. So, like just like a traditional NHI today, a service account or an API token, etc. It's an NHI, but there is an accountability, there's ownership tied to a human, right? So for the agentic AI piece, there is that part, right? You're acting on somebody's behalf. But at the same time, NHIs, traditional NHIs, if there's a word like that, act very predictably, right? If you're using NHI for automation, either you do something or don't do something. Agentic AI has the opportunity to act more like human, where you may do something, you may not do something. So, first of all, there are multiple aspects to this. How do you treat an agentic AI as an identity? Is it a human? Is it a non-human? It's somewhere in between. I think it's somewhere in between. I think it's a property of both. How do you enforce least privilege? How do you manage their risks? How do you govern them in terms of an identity point of view? Right? So I think there is a next set of challenges that are opening up from the agentic AI side of things, uh, somewhere between non-human identities as we see today and some of the human identities like just-in-time access, etc. So that's a very exciting um, space that we are entering. So that's one thing. So again, maturity of overall identity programs at enterprises, incorporation of AI, agentic AI into identity security. I think those are the two things that we see um, where we see the future going.
Yeah. I was going to say I think we managed 15 minutes without saying AI, which is
Yeah,
pretty
there you
impressive
go.
in today's times. But I agree. Yeah, this year's going to be interesting. I read a lot of articles that are looking at like that enterprise adoption. It seems like it's going to just continue to be on a kind of a hockey stick curve this year. So we'll see how that plays out. And future for Andromeda then. So what are you guys working on? Is there anything you can share potentially? What are the goals for you guys in the next 12 months and beyond as a business?
Definitely, right? I think for us, we're still relatively early in our journey, just under 2 years, right? So I think we continue to mature our use cases. So we continue to add additional capabilities, additional use cases, and so on. So solid roadmap in the coming 6, 9, 12, 18 months, in addition to what we're already shipping today with and customers. And then additionally focus on customer adoption, right? So we have some very great traction with our customers. We just need to continue on that front as we grow the company and reach out to more customers. So those are the two aspects that we're working on. But we're very excited
Mhm.
because the feedback from customers has been phenomenal. Says, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, I love that. Like both. So what the most customers love about what Andromeda does is, I think, tied to what it differentiates us, which is intelligent automation, um, risk scoring, visibility, automating JIT, simplifying operations, and also the kind of insights that they have never seen before, and how we're unifying so many different aspects of the of siloed product. People are very happy about that. So yeah, so continuing
Yeah.
on that journey, frankly.
Sounds exciting. Yeah. Is there a case study that you can like high level share that would be useful
Oh
to
yeah,
share
we
with the
talk
audience?
about a
Yeah.
customer. So we talk about a customer. This customer is like, remember my maturity journey part of it.
Hmm.
But this customer I'm talking about is a fairly mature customer in their identity security journey,
Hmm.
and they have tools for NHIs already. They had tool for the traditional user identities, but they were looking for JIT. they knew for their Azure and AWS environment, they wanted a just-in-time access solution. And they looked at multiple vendors and they selected Andromeda for two key reasons. One, the context based automation, intelligent risk and context based automation, and the the larger platform that allows them to start with one use case, operationalize it, and then get to maybe a second use case around role right sizing and least privilege or SaaS applications or NHIs and so on. So the promise, because these customers are looking for a journey. One of the quotes I want to say from a different customer was said, the customer said, "Look, I'm looking for the vendors, the cyber vendors, to partner with me, right? This is not a transactional exercise. Cyber security in general is an evolving market for various reasons. The risks are evolving, the solutions are evolving, and so they're looking for solutions which are more have the long-term vision that of a complete the completeness of the vision basically, which is we are the platform, and the best-in-class solution where each of the use cases is differentiated, right? So that's what's very exciting for us. And again, we've taken the same approach in the same engineering team in the past in the past companies where we've taken this approach and really build the best-in-class solutions at a platform level. So um, that's what's exciting for us in terms of our customer engagements.
Yeah, love it. It's going to be interesting to follow you guys this year because you're up to a lot of good stuff behind the scenes and publicly as well, by the sounds of it. So exciting times. And just to wrap this up, Ashish, been a pleasure to have you on, and thanks for sharing your journey, the learnings, and more about Andromeda and where you guys are going. But is there anything else that you wanted to finish on?
No, I think I'll invite all the listeners to check out andromedasecurity.com and reach out to us if any of this intrigues you in terms of use cases or the problem we're trying to solve, the approach we're taking. But yeah, I'd love to stay engaged with the audience.
Cool. And what we'll do as well, we'll make sure the emails and contact details are plugged as well, so they can get in touch. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on. So thank you so much. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Stefan. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed today's show, please like and share with your friends and colleagues, as this is really important for the show's reach. If you'd like to be our next guest or are interested in Aspiron Search's staffing solutions, please get in touch directly with me or reach out to us via our website www.aspironsearch.com.